Yep. Okay. Part 2. I'm going to attempt to at least partially give it its due justice because, like I was mentioning before and like I was attempting to explain before, this is a very subtle and behind-the-scenes topic of what we're seeing, what we're living, is really a sort of a right. It's really a feedback loop where we're putting ourselves out there, and then what we're getting back, we can at least say most of what we're getting back can be taken as the feedback is attempting to explain where we're at, essentially. So, the common examples, my hair's a little wild. The common examples of how someone reacts to traffic, how someone reacts to disappointment, how someone reacts to an unexpected situation happening, a change of plans, right? Things like that. A person's willingness and ability to be flexible and spontaneous. And this is certainly a general, or we'll say a slightly more universal immersion into this topic. Well, let's do our best, right? We're given what we're given, and we're working with what we're working with, physically, mentally, emotionally, and we make do the best of what we got. So I've noticed that in general today, like I feel, or it may seem like I'm not on my A game as much as I was maybe yesterday, 2 days ago, whatever. To have things be a bit more effortful sometimes, that just is what it is. And sometimes, as a result of things being less easy, better things come of it because we're pushing, and through that pushing, we can reach newer and higher thresholds. Like I've discussed before, where, the extent that we're pushing and ready for challenge and able to face things and able to enact, adapt, make things happen for ourselves, we raise our sort of comfort level. We expand our comfort zone because what was hard last week may be just a normal thing this week, right? So the push, the challenge, the involvement, the gritting and bearing it gets, it keeps us young, it keeps us on our feet, on our toes, keeps us, strong, but also loose and flowing. But anyway, this topic of how someone reacts to the example of something changing, expecting one thing and getting another thing. And we can reflect on that in our own lives, where how are we reacting and adapting accordingly, if we're adapting at all, or if we're just throwing a hissy fit because this wasn't what I expected. This is different, this is changing, right? Like, let's just say about 30, 40 minutes ago, I had, these small sort of fits of frustration because things were changing. But what really matters is to see that and to just be with it and just bear it long enough to be present for it to change, to survive, and it will eventually change. And of course, there's the self-care, the self-regulation of like, well, do I need something? Like, do I need to rest? Do I need to go to the bathroom? Do I need food? Do I need just like a redirect? Do I need things to just shift around? Like, what do I need? So that's its own aspect. But to get back to the topic at hand, the world is always showing us not necessarily who we are, to an extent what we are, but where we're at. The mentally, emotionally, soulfully, where, these things, they happen. And how we react and adapt today may be slightly different than how we react and adapt tomorrow. But what's important is to notice if there are patterns where, I, in general, right, as an example, like, you could say to yourself, it seems that I have a tendency to, ... fill in the blanks. Whether it be, whenever this person calls, I have a similar sort of anxiety, or, when I go to this place, when I go to work, or before work, or after work, or before I have to pick this person up, or, when I'm in this situation at the grocery store, these moments where us sensing patterns, there are messages, right? Like I discussed before, there can be important messages and wisdom and learning from the most mundane of things. So I want to get just really into the core of this, and then we'll end it, because I'm referencing things that I've talked about in other videos, and that's fine, especially if you haven't seen the videos, but I want to get really into the core of this. You receive what you are. You receive what you are. You get what you give. If we're frustrated with certain, whether it be short-term situations or long-term co-current situations, we would be wise to look into these things. Whether it be, okay, this is an internal thing. Maybe this connects to something in my past. Maybe this connects to something where I never really got things settled. I never really got things balanced out. I never really got closure in these past situations, right? These reflections. And it really is like a reflection. Like, if you imagine, like, you on your insides, right? Like, metaphysically. And then, let's just say, if you are acting as the now, and if you're facing this certain way, it's the future. But then if you turn around, you're facing the past, right? So to reflect, to turn around, and to just face the past, and to try to make these connections where it's like you're holding something that, you're kind of grudging on something that happened today, and you're like, where does this piece reflect and become similar to something in my past? And you're maybe holding it up to different things, right, symbolically, and you find one, or you find, an entire neighborhood where it has these similar fidgets, these similar fruits, we'll say, this, strange, prickly pear, berry, dragon fruit looking thing. And you find the neighborhood where these fruits are growing, and you're starting to realize that this fruit, symbolically, this situation feels so intense to you and so ridiculous and just so unwanted, because when you were in moments and situations like this in the past, you never got balance, you never got closure, or it was just a traumatic and wild and ridiculous and just unsettling moment in that past. And it could be many moments in the past where it was just never resolved, and then fast forward a few months, never resolved, fast forward a few months, nope, didn't get that resolution, that balance, just never happened. And this is a beautiful moment where you're consciously reflecting, and you have that just general internal soul desire, like, to quote The Simpsons, who was probably quoting something else, to say, I demand satisfaction. And you can, stomp your feet, in indignation and just, anger, frustration. But to go in that direction is what matters. You're going in the direction of settlement, of resolution. That's what really matters. So, just to put a nice cherry on top, whipped cream of this topic, if to a large extent, physically and metaphysically, we're getting what we give, we're getting what we are, the more that we're able to reflect on these big mental, emotional blowout situations, reflect, to face, to be present with these blowouts, mental, emotional blowouts that are concerning and uneasy, this uneasiness about you, to see it, to face it, to be with it, and to want things settled and resolved and balanced and at peace. And to go into it not caring about how long it takes, but just going into it wanting things to get cleared out, resolved, and eventually transcended, so that we can be expanded into better people. Whew! What better and wilder ride is that in our lives, right? Just diving in deep on the heart and soul core level. And it will eventually, you don't have to take my word for it, but there have been enough people, including myself, who have made this claim and to swear by it, to say, you clear it up, you bring the homeostasis on the internals, and the externals are at the very least perceived differently, right? You got new lenses. Life looks, feels, seems different. To that extent, it is different. And then in the, to go a little deeper into the metaphysical side, when your energy shifts, life shifts, because people are picking up on the signals life itself, the nature of it all, is picking up on the signals and giving you new things to play with, physically and metaphysically. The shifts just happen. Again, don't take my word for it, but whoo doggy. The game gets deeper and thicker and weirder and more awesome. Woo! We'll leave it at that. Mad respect to you, mad respect to me, for us surviving, for us living this life, for us diving deeper and 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 deeper, for us having the wherewithal, the layers, the physical, metaphysical, the mental, emotional, spiritual, these layers, for us working with it, working through it, working as it. Like, mad respect for our ability, our wherewithal, and our follow through. Just straight up. Mad respect. Alright, this is Mac 11. Catch you later.